Should you hire a developer to develop your business website and set up like an e-commerce store, or should you do it yourself? It's a super common question that you see on a ton of different forums, between business forums on Reddit or tech forums or startup forums on Reddit. And then you also see the question on Quora. I've been asked it myself by friends on Facebook who have just messaged me. They know I'm in tech. They know I do software development. They know I sell those services. And they'll reach out to me and be like, hey, Isa, do you think I should hire someone, or would you be interested in developing my business website and setting up like a store for me and stuff? Or should I just do it myself? The honest answer here is it really depends on your capabilities, your knowledge, your time, and a few of those other kind of points to determine what you should do. There is no answer that's absolutely correct for every case, okay? If you're starting a business and financially strapped, you don't have a lot of money to hire a developer, and you don't really want to spend a ton, then you may want to consider doing it yourself or using a really cheap builder type website. So what I mean by that is there's a lot of websites that provide like a very simple WYSIWYG, or what you see is what you get, website builder. You can check out websites like Weebly, Squarespace, Wix. They all provide a really easy way to build a website without writing code. It looks pretty good, and most of them have a store integration available within it, but you're going to be paying a monthly recurring fee for it, but the fees are pretty low. And that's going to be a cost. It's not the cheapest way to go, but it's easy. You'll get to kind of a complete website and store fairly quickly, but it's still going to be something you need to set up and you need to invest some time to do. You can hire a developer to do that for you, somebody that has experience putting those sites together. And that's going to be a cheaper option when it comes to hiring a developer rather than having them do a custom development, which takes, let's say, 3-4 times the amount of time for them to not necessarily write the code or copy and paste the code or format it so it looks like what you need, but the time's going to be spent on understanding what you want and what you need, and that's really what's going to cost that money for a developer to do it. The other option is you can self-host it. Well, not self-host it. You can install your own like WordPress installation on your own server. And that's going to be probably your cheapest option. It has a slightly more complicated barrier of entry than going with like a Squarespace or a Weebly. But that's something you can also ask a developer to do if you have the knowledge of it. So what I mean by that is you can go ahead and ask a developer, or do this yourself, to go check out a hosting website like HostMonster, GoDaddy, OnePage, and check out how much it costs to get your own shared hosting server for a year. I bet you it's going to be anywhere between like $15 to $50, depending on what company you go with and if they're currently giving out any deals for first-time hosting buyers. So usually companies like iPage gives out like a first-time member or first-time buyer deal where they'll give you like $1 or $2 a month, and you could prepay up to like 5 years. So at $2 a month, you're paying $25 a year, $24 a year. And if you prepay that for 4 or 5 years, you're looking at $100 to $125 for that entire hosting period. That's pretty darn cheap, okay? Now, what does that mean to you? So when you buy those hosting or that server, what ends up happening is you usually get a domain with it. You get one domain. That could be whatever your goal website is. It's not always SSL. SSL is not always included, that certificate, but you can always get it for free with most of them and install it yourself. And that's an option. But again, these are technicalities. So what you can do is you can go to these hosts and pay for the shared hosting. And what they usually make available to you is what is called like a one-click install. And that will install something like a WordPress for you. And with that, you don't have to do really anything. It installs the WordPress on your server for you. You'll create an admin and a password for that WordPress, and you'll be able to go to your website URL /admin and access the WordPress backend. And that gives you the interface to be able to go in and build your WordPress page. That obviously has some technicalities to it. It may be a little confusing if you don't have exposure to it. But there are a lot of videos on how to do this out there. And then there's a lot of support for WordPress-like installations. A lot of developers can do this fairly quickly, and they do support this, and this is a relatively cheap option to go with. So this is something you may want to take to somebody and see if they can do this for you. It may be a really cost-effective solution. And what you could possibly do is just ask them to go ahead and acquire the hosting for you and install WordPress and provide you with the credentials so you can log in. At that point, if you don't want to spend the money on having them populate the website for you, you can go into that WordPress installation and begin populating it yourself. Again, it will take a bit of time to understand how the interface works and how you can update and install plugins, but it's not that complicated. The worst thing that'll happen is while you're setting it up, you may install a plugin that could break the installation. But what you can do is you can make sure to discuss with that developer that did the installation for you how you guys can continue to work together if issues like that occur. Perhaps you can even set up a kind of a tutorial deal with them where you pay them hourly or you pay a lump sum ahead, maybe a project rate to do the installation and provide tutorial hours to you. So those are a lot of more cost-effective type options that you can go with. Lastly, or not really lastly, if you're in the case where you don't have an issue with money, you're trying to get to market really quickly, and you want to set up a website that is not going to be run on shared hosting or you need something really custom, then by all means, go and hire a developer. Find a reputable developer or little company or big company, I really don't care. But find somebody, anyone will do the work for you if you're willing to pay real money, and go and have somebody do it. If your time is better spent doing something else, then have somebody do it. If you bring in more money to the company, focusing on sales or focusing on something else, then don't waste your time on the website. But if you're broke and you're just starting the company, consider the fact that having capital is going to be difficult during your initial months, years of running your company, and spending a few $1,000s on a website is not necessary. So I'm just giving you the advice of taking time to try and do it yourself if that's an option. But again, if you have the capital, you want to spend the money, then go for it. A lot of developers will help you out, okay? Let's just really quickly talk about what the costs would be for all these options I threw out there. So I gave you a handful of options here, and I feel like I threw them out various times. Apologies for that if that's confusing. But let's start with the option of doing it yourself through like a website builder website, like Weebly or Squarespace or any of those, right? So those usually cost anywhere between like $7 to $20 a month. So you're looking at anywhere between like $50 to let's see, like $200, $250 a year to have those websites kind of run and maintain themselves, or not to maintain themselves, but just to have the service running, okay? If you want help setting those up, those websites offer services themselves, which is really convenient, but it's slightly a premium to do that. So you're looking at probably paying at least $75 an hour to somebody from those websites to provide you service. And in my opinion, it's not worth that. You probably, if you do need support or services, you could find people outside of those direct website support that can support you on those platforms. So that's an option there. You could probably find people doing it anywhere between like $30 to $100 an hour, but they may be more effective than the people directly on those websites. So that's, like I said, about $50 to $250 for the canned services, but you're going to have to spend time populating it, or you're going to have to hire people, okay? Next, if you go with the shared hosting where you buy your own server, it's a shared hosting server, then you're looking at probably around $30 to $60 a year. But you're going to need to spend time installing your WordPress installation or whatever you decide to use as your website, CMS, and shopping cart. A very common combo installation is WordPress with a WooCommerce plugin, and that'll get you a really nice website that's easy to manage using the WordPress kind of framework, which is originally kind of a blogging framework, but it's a CMS, pretty easy to use. It's really well supported and documented, and WooCommerce is a e-commerce shopping cart plugin that installs with it, and it works out of the box. It's pretty clean. Again, you're gonna have to set that up. It's gonna take time. There's a lot of support for WordPress and WooCommerce. You can find developers all over the internet, or probably in your local area as well. So you can go to like Upwork and hire some freelancers to help you for fairly cheap, anywhere between like $15, $20 up to $100. And you'll have developers that can actually create custom plugins for you. They can do the setup and installation for you. Those are all options. And then lastly, you can go with hiring somebody to set up a basic website for you, which can be a solution that does any of these. And that will probably cost you anywhere between like $500 and maybe $2,000, $3,000. Or you can go to a high-end studio or company that's going to do the entire development from end to end for you. And that's going to be a really wide range. You could have people that want to charge you $5K up to $15 or $20K for a basic website and maybe some ongoing support, okay? That's a lot of information, a lot to digest. Again, if you're trying to do something really complicated, then you may want to go with a development company that's reputable, and you may want to go and describe your entire vision for this and have them really write up like a software doc for you, or some sort of some sort of mock-up, and define the features on some sort of documentation, maybe like a PRD or an SRS, like a software requirement spec. And that way you get a good, clear vision of what they're going to be doing. And then usually you can also take that and, if you want, shop around with it. You're gonna pay, in most cases, for that documentation to be done, but it may be worth it if you're looking to spend 10 plus K, okay? I hope that helps. If you need help developing software, you can always send a message to me. I may not be interested in the project, but I know quite a few people in the industry, and I'd be more than happy to give you at least a little bit of advice on what options are available to you and what you may want to do. I've been through this process myself, and then I've been through it with a lot of colleagues and acquaintances who have started businesses and needed that type of help, okay? Again, this is Isa with Journey to Programming. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope it helps for many of you guys that are starting businesses or have businesses and you're trying to get more web presence or have a shopping cart available for people online. I hope this helps again. I hope you guys are staying safe and sane in this COVID kind of work from home and quarantine time. And have a good one, you guys. Hit that subscribe button, and please do comment, like, and share the videos. It's really appreciated. Have a good one, you guys.